So the one thing that we have learned with owning a camper, travel trailer, fifth wheel, you name it, is you got to learn plumbing, and you got to learn plumbing pretty quick.
Repairs.
When we had our travel trailer, we had water issues, and as you've seen from other videos that I will post up here, we've had water issues with this fifth wheel. Now we have another problem. I noticed it because I was going to feed the dogs, and we keep our dog food down in our basement, and I happened to notice that the floor pan was wet. Well, we just had 3 days of really heavy rain, so I didn't know if some of it was coming in from the doors, from the force of the wind. Well, I pulled off my inspection panel, and I had standing water in the bottom of my storage area. Cleaned that all up by my water pump and all that, and I noticed that I had water driplets on the lines which are up on the ceiling. I'll show you here real quick. I've already cleaned it all up, but I'll show you where it was. So I had Beth come up here into the shower, pull the access panel off on the back of the shower, and I'll kind of show you this guy. Don't mind our mess because we've already started looking, and there is our access panel here, and you can see the driplets of water. And as soon as we turn our shower on, it is just pumping water out. So all that water is running all the way down here, and then it's running down into the basement, and it's just settling down there. Now, unfortunately, I've got to drop my belly pan, and I'm gonna have to replace all the insulation. The insulation is all soaking wet, so just another fun thing. But I'll kind of give you a step-by-step on how I do that, and we'll get it fixed. It's an easy fix. It's just a pain in the butt fix. So we'll kind of work through it, and I'll give you a step-by-step of what I'm going to do. So, like I said, on ours, the access panel is back here, so that you can get to your shower valves. This is our style of shower. So it's got a screw in here. I'm going to pull off the shower head, and then pull this whole panel off and see what we got. Okay, so this guy is actually pretty easy. It mounts up here. There's a mounting screw down here that screws into the bottom, and this is the mess that is behind this shower. Okay, this goes up to the top of your shower head. As you can see, it is really wet in here. So I took off the shower head, and already you can see that we're leaking here. And you can see that this has actually fallen off above here. So they never actually installed it properly, but you can see where my leak is from. As I've stated in the past, when it comes to most of the plumbing in your fifth wheel, your camper, the things that are not PEX crimped are just hand tightened, and they do loosen up. You don't want to crimp on these things with any type of tools, because there's just a little rubber gasket behind there, and you'll break the gasket, you'll cause a bigger leak. Unfortunately, we're going to go through and tighten these up. They've just vibrated loose, or they just weren't that tight. This, unfortunately, is also part of the dread, I say, the COVID trailer. So this trailer was built during the pandemic, and that is what we've ran into. I've talked to some other people that have the same, not exact same issues, but they're repairing a lot of stuff on their campers, and that's because they were built during COVID, and whatever it may be, components, lack of manpower, it's affecting us all. But so we're gonna go through, we're gonna fix this guy up, put it back to normal, and wish us luck, because we kind of need it. Okay, so this is the one where we're leaking, and you can see that I'm getting, some good turns out of it. I unhooked this to kind of just put this cap back on here, but I kind of use this to show you it's just a little rubber O-ring, so you have to be careful on how it's placed in there. And this is the reason why you don't want to crimp on things, because you'll just crush that little guy. So we are going to just hand tighten everything on here. And you can look at these. These you could probably crank on as much as you want. Again, like we said in our clear source video, you're only crimping on plastic, so you don't want to really go to town on them. The brass ones you obviously can tighten a little bit more, but the only ones that I would really worry about tightening are the ones down here on your actual valve. I will actually grab a wrench and go on those. Those are probably a 3/4 inch wrench. All the rest of these I'm going to just hand tighten. And I am going to step back out of the shower, turn on the shower, try not to get soaked like I just was, and see if we have, and I'm sorry if it's loud in here, but as you can see, there's no more leak. Now, the bad part of this whole thing is now I have to drop my underbelly and replace the insulation. I can pull it out, but be honest with you, we're in a humid climate, it's never going to dry out. So I'm going to just have to ruck up, drop the belly pan, replace the wet soaking insulation, and go on our merry way. Again, like I said, it's a nuisance, it's a pain, but it's not something that you really have to go out and spend, you know, $500 on a service fee when you can do it yourself. So we'll show you what we do down in the basement. I'll show you where the water was, how I realized it, and then kind of do the belly pan and go from there. Okay, so we have it back on. I'm not gonna lie, the hardest part is getting that screw line back up. But other than that, we are good to go. We are tight to there. I might actually go, now that I know that this is an issue, and run a bead of silicone up across here, because it is a little ways off of there. But for the most part, we are back in there. We'll put this guy all back together, and now we're gonna go down in the basement and fix that mess. That's gonna be the hardest part of this whole thing, like I said, is repairing the water damage. Water is one of the most destructive elements on the planet. It's just, it is what it is. So instead of sitting there and having more mildew problems down the road, we're gonna fix it right, and we're gonna do it right now. Well, folks, I'm back here in my favorite place in the basement. Not really, but hey, it is what it is. So when I came in here, minus the paper towels, the floor pan was just saturated with water. You can still see that I have some water issues here and down here. What I'm going to do is I'll put a fan down here for probably 2 days to dry this all out. What led me to look upstairs in the shower is I had water up here. I had driplets of water, and this is the flush out tank, which I have nothing attached to right now. And this had water on it. It was all wet, and then as you can see here, hopefully, I had water on the I-beam, and then I looked down in, like I said, my down here is all wet. So that's what led me to start looking upstairs to kind of see what was going on. I'm not gonna lie, I did check my plumbing for the clear source. It was bone dry, so that did make me happy. So it's just a matter of chasing it down, and once you find it, get it fixed. So now that this is all dried, I'm gonna put the fan down here, like I said, and I'm gonna go down into the basement, or excuse me, gonna go under the underbelly and pull all that up. I'll have Beth kind of film that. Probably gonna get wet, but it is what it is. get that dried out so that we can get new insulation back under there. Luckily, I should only need probably four, so about half of the bats, I guess, or whatever you call those runs of insulation, and hopefully it's not all soaking wet. But again, I won't know till I actually drop it. So we're gonna go down there and drop that sucker now. Okay, so I pulled out the hex bit screws that are, they're a self-tapper, that are kind of on this whole side and the back side for right now. And surprisingly, this is dry up to about here. As you can see underneath here, it starts getting wet about right here. So I'm gonna see if, like, this one's dry. So basically I'm gonna have to replace this one, and this one. So like I said, not as bad as I thought. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the rest of the back of this pan and let it drip down, and let the water run out, and then I'll run down to Lowe's, grab some more insulation, stick it under there, and then we'll button it all back up. I'll give it a chance to dry out. But like I said, just leaving it down here is going to cause an issue down the road that I'd rather not deal with. We've already had enough problems with mildew and mold that I want this gone. So we're going to yank her out, take another probably 10-15 minutes to pull this stuff down and do it right the first time. Well, good news is I only had to pull out 2 bats. You can still see the water sitting on here, but this guy over here is dry. I rolled up that guy just so that when the water did come out that it wouldn't get it wet. But this guy here is nice and dry. As you can see, it's moving around freely. So I'm just gonna get a couple, stick them in there, and call it good. So now to the hardware store to get that. We'll throw this stuff, other stuff away, and button her back up. I'm gonna let it dry for most of the day, and then get the new insulation in, put it all back together, and call it a day. And this is plumbing part tray, I guess. Who knows? After a while, it's all the same. But if you guys got any questions, let me know. Like I said, I'll show you as I button it all back it together, and once it's all finalized. But for right now, I do have the fan. I'm going to turn that sucker back on, get air flowing, dry out that wood a little bit. It just acts like a sponge, so we'll get that dried up. We'll get the bottom dried up and put her back together. So I ran to Lowe's to buy some insulation. I just bought R13. They didn't really have a lot of selections. This one unfortunately has the paper backing. Don't let that deter you. The paper backing's super easy to just pull off of the insulation. This is a roll, it's 32 feet long. I'm gonna need about 17 feet. So we're gonna roll it out and cut off 2 different bats of it, put it in there, pull the paper off, and then put it in there. I would recommend probably pulling the paper off so that you don't have something to adhere to that water if you happen to have a leak, and that water just saturates in there. So just pull it off. It was 24 bucks for the roll. I'll have extra obviously, but it was either that or buy one that had I think 13 bats at 96 inches, way more than I need. So we'll just do this one little roll. We'll have a little bit of extra Not sure if I'll donate that or what yet, or hold on to it. I might just hold on to it, but we'll see. Anyway, so one roll. Like I said, it's just a R13 2x4 walls. That way it doesn't have to be super thick. It's going to match up to this other stuff just fine. So as you can see, this has the paper backing on it. Basically, it's like a tar paper. I just pulled it off, just separated it off from there, like so. On ours, I measured out 6.5 feet is what the old ones were. I just re-verified that with tape measure on the floor pan. And we just stuck, here's the new one that we just put in. And then we're gonna put another one over here. I have this one folded up, so we'll put another one here. And Beth is on the other side, and then she's pulling it as I'm pushing it in. And it seems to work out pretty good for us. Okay, you ready? Huh?
Give me just a second. Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, hold on. Can you get it?
I got it.
Okay. As you can see, I'm using a broom to push this. Got to be careful because the broom will go right through it. But we've got this pretty system. Pull it a little bit more, honey.
Just a little bit more.
Huh?
Like that?
A little more.
Okay.
Just a tad bit more. Can you get more out of it?
If I get more out of it, it's going to come out on this side.
That's okay. I don't need a lot, just a little bit. Okay. So as you can see, here is the other one that I rolled up to keep out of the way, because we had some water that was still draining out. So this is the original. We got the 2 new bats in, and now we'll go back and we'll tuck everything in and we'll zip it back up and we'll be good as new. So I'm actually going to start on the other side where Beth is, and kind of tighten that up, and then I'll come back this way, and then we'll go that way towards the front and button her back up. So as we go through and we're putting this all back in, I just kind of wanted to show you. See, here's some big 4-3 cable that goes up to our charging and our Victron. So we obviously want to make sure that that is tucked away. And then what we'll do is we'll take this stuff, we'll tuck it up. You can see there's another wire here. We just want to make sure that it's not by that hole, and we'll tuck these up as we get closer to them. So you just kind of take your time and go one screw at a time until we get back towards the back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you do that. A little bit of labor intensive, but it's, again, it's not too terrible. While you're under there, just kind of check things. I checked my spare tire, which happened to be loose, so I tightened that up. We replaced, like I said, we replaced the 2 bats of insulation that were sopping wet. Just put new one in, button that all back up, and we're good to go. Probably all in all, probably took about an hour and a half. Frustrating, yes. Should it have happened? No, but it's just the nature of the beast. These things, you'll hear everybody say, you're a rolling earthquake. They go through a lot of wear and tear driving down the roads. As we all know, the roads aren't the best. So it's bound to happen. It is relatively a simple fix. It's just time involved. So that's how I fix that. If you guys got any questions or any comments, feel free to hit them down there in the comment section. Again, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And thank you again for taking the time and watching our little video here. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next week. One other thing that I thought I would mention while I was under here, or used to be under here, if you decide to put accent lighting or anything to kind of, spruce up the bottom or the look of your camper, which I did. You'll see right here, I put these groove lights. I knew that there was a potential that I was always going to have to pull this down. So as you can see, I routed these on the steel frame away from the underbelly, just so that when and if I ever had to drop said underbelly, they weren't in the way. I wouldn't have to cut them or damage those to do any type of service. So just a little tidbit, if you guys ever think about that and you want to put some accent lighting in there, just keep in mind that someday you might have to drop your underbelly and you want to have access to that. Just food for thought.